Good morning. I'm awkward. But I'm gonna celebrate this awkwardness by talking about my top 10 most awkward situations that ever happened to me in band. Okay, so before I get started with the list, just know that these get pretty cringy. What I'm gonna do for you guys, I'm gonna ramp up from my least awkward to the most awkward. So make sure you stick around for the whole video, because the last few, well, it's rough. Okay, so we're gonna start out somewhat tame here. Number 10 on the list. This is when I was a sophomore in high school. We were on the bus on the way to one of those music in the park things where like a bunch of bands go and you kind of compete. Like you get a score of like excellent, great, or superior, or something like that. But the most important thing is that after the concert, you all go to an amusement park afterwards, and that's really, really fun. But anyways, we were on the bus on the way to this concert, and it was a pretty long ride, probably an hour and a half, and this was one of those coach buses where there's a bathroom in the back. So we're like midway through this bus ride there, and we get to a traffic light, and we're stopped, and I watch the bus driver, he gets up out of the seat, and walks all the way down the aisle and goes into the bathroom. And this was super weird because he didn't pull over or anything. We were just like in park at this traffic light. Somehow I was the only person on the bus to like actually see what was going on. Like everyone else was either like zoned out or sleeping or whatever, but I was paying attention. And he was in there for a while. Like I guess you gotta go, I suppose. So we're sitting at this traffic light. Cars start honking because the light is turning green and then going all the way through the cycle, and no one can get around us because we're in a bus and it's blocking the whole lane. So finally everybody on the bus starts realizing what's going on, and the band director is like so confused because the bus driver is not in the seat anymore.
Where the heck is the bus driver? He's blasting a deuce.
And I thought that was pretty funny, but nobody laughed. And the band director didn't know what I meant either.
Yeah, he's pooping.
So finally, the bus driver finishes taking this poop, or whatever he was doing in there, and comes back to the seat. It was probably like 5 or 6 minutes. We were just sitting at this light, and it went through like about 10 cycles of green and red lights. That was really, really goofy and pretty awkward. This story takes place when I was a senior in high school. It was the first time I had ever went to a drum corps camp. I decided to go to the cadets experience and audition camp, and I wanted to make a good impression, right? It was my first time trying to play with the big boys. So, you know, I'm being a good noodle. I go out to the equipment truck. I'm helping them bring all the sets of tenors in. And the room that the tenors were practicing in, it was like one of those choir rooms with like multiple stair levels. So we're all setting up the drums on all these levels. And this was my first time ever seeing this specific tenor stand. It was a Yamaha stand where it's basically like a little scoop that you sit the back bar in and it clips on. And I have that stand with that type of drums, and you gotta really make sure that it's put in the correct way or else it'll flip off. And you know, little 18-year-old me, I didn't really know what I was doing, but I wanted to act like I knew what I was doing, so I just put it in there. I thought it was fine. The drums were sitting there on the stand, and I start walking back down the risers, and the tenor tech comes walking up the risers to like play something on the drums just to hack, and he hits one note and the drums flip up and roll down the entire set of stairs, and the drums landed right at my feet where I was standing, and it was super awkward because I didn't really know what to do or how to react to that. But the tenor tech, he was cool about it. He like said that the stands are kind of weird and you gotta get used to them. So I tried to look like I knew what I was doing, but the opposite happened. I looked really awkward and confused. I was in 8th grade, all South Jersey honors band, first chair. What's up? So we're at the rehearsal at this school, and the percussion section, we're just kind of like hanging out, waiting for stuff to happen. And some guy, I have no idea who he is, he comes to the back, and he asks,
"Who's first chair?"
And I reluctantly raise my hand.
"Let me see you play a single stroke roll, right now."
And I had no idea why he was asking me this, because the single stroke roll, that wasn't even on, like, the audition. I mean, nowadays, I have a really, really good single stroke roll. I practiced the crap out of that. But back then, little 12-year-old me didn't really have the single stroke chops that I did, so I went up to the snare drum and I did my best. It wasn't great, but it was okay, I suppose. And this guy was just giving me, like, a glare. Like, he's like, oh, is that what you did on your audition?
That's your roll rudiment, huh?
No, that wasn't even on the rudiment sheet. We had to do the open, closed, open roll.
Oh, well, play that one then.
I was like, what is going on right now? Like, who is this dude? Why is he making me play rudiments? But I did it anyways for him, and it was fine. You know, I actually got a perfect score on that rudiment in the audition.
That was pretty good.
Thanks?
Yeah, my daughter didn't make it in, and now I understand why.
I was like, oh, this guy was like just evaluating me to see why his kid didn't make it. Kind of weird. And I felt super uncomfortable that whole time. Adults are scary. So this was when I was in college. It was my buddy, he was preparing for his senior recital. He was actually writing a couple of original pieces for this. One thing he wanted to do was build his own drums out of PVC pipe. And he wrote this awesome song where we all played on octobans, which are basically like a Spock drum on the tenors, but the shell is gigantic. And at the local hardware store, they had like 6-inch PVC shells that went to 10 feet. We bought 4 of them, and we're gonna cut them up to make all these different size octoban drums. But before we did that, we absolutely had to try this. We attached all 4 of them together and drilled the drum head onto the one side to make a 40-foot long octoban, and it was epic. It sounded so cool. The sound was kind of like how the Blue Man Group does like their PVC attachment, but ours was 40 feet long. But while we were setting this up, it was obviously taking up the whole hallway, like from one end of the building to the other, and our professor comes around the corner and he sees what we're doing, and we explain, and he goes,
That is like tits on a man. Okay, but why?
and none of us knew how to respond to that, or if he was joking or not. It was kind of confusing and really awkward. But what wasn't awkward was the performance of this piece. It was awesome. I will leave the link for it in the description. This next story was also while I was in college. I was going to grad school. I was also the teacher's assistant for the marching band, which means I got pretty much paid to go to school, and it was awesome. But also I had some, extra responsibilities, such as driving the marching band truck. And this truck was freaking huge. I think it was 37 feet. It was really big. And I don't understand how we didn't need like a special commercial license or anything to drive it, because it was nothing like driving a regular car. But I was pretty good at it. I never had any incidents, ever. Except for this one time. So the front ensemble, they would load all of their gear into the truck at the music building, then I would drive down to the field on game day with it all. And in the morning we had a rehearsal, and this particular morning it was pouring rain out, so they would rehearse on this indoor field. So I drive the truck there, everything's good and dandy, until I get to where the practice field is. So the way the field is lined out is we have our normal rehearsal field over here, then the road comes down this way, and then the indoor rehearsal facility is right here, which would be fine, except there was some construction going on and they had this huge fence, which meant that for me to try to drive and then back into the gate of this indoor field, it was really tight, incredibly hard to make that turn without running into something. Because I didn't want to just drive in head on, because then like the whole truck would be on the field and I'd probably ruin it. And also I didn't want to park outside, because then the front ensemble would have to wheel all the electronics through the rain. So I had to figure this out. I had to back up so the back of the truck was at the gate. So I'm like slowly creeping forward, backward, trying to figure out how to turn this freaking huge truck. And this guy Joe in the snare line, he sees me and he's super nice and comes out into the rain and starts, giving me directions, trying to help me make this turn. So I'm watching him through the mirror as he's guiding me back, and then he just tells me to come all the way back. So I start going, and blow! Smashed into this stupid yellow pole.
Oh crap, there's a pole there.
Now, I was going less than 1 mile per hour, like really slow, but, huge truck with lots of pounds of gear in it smashing into this pole. It was insanely loud. Everybody in the band, like inside on the field, like heard that and turned around, and everyone came running out and like asked me like, "Oh my god, are you okay? What happened? Oh my goodness." And it sounded way, way worse than it actually was. Like there was not even any damage on the pole or on the truck. And I eventually was able to maneuver around it and back into where I wanted to, but everybody in the band, you know, I'm glad you were all so concerned, but that was really, really awkward that I had to explain that I just crashed. And that was the only time I ever hit anything in the truck. And luckily, neither of the directors were around to see me hit that, so as far as they know, I never crashed the truck. Unless they're watching this right now. Okay, we're about to do the top 5. Just warning you, these get a lot worse. But first, since we are about halfway through this, I think this would be a good time to share that when I reach 69,069 subscribers, and 69 of those subscribers ring the Liberty Bell, I will post a very special video in which I compose a cadence entirely of 6lets, 9lets, and 69thlets. And we just passed 31,000 subscribers, so we're almost halfway there. So make sure that you click the subscribe button and ring the Liberty Bell. All right, here we go, top 5. So, number 5. This one happened while I was on tour with a DCI Corps, and we get to this housing site. Now, with these housing sites, you never really know what you're gonna get. This particular one, it was under construction or being remodeled or something. And the bathrooms in this housing site, they didn't have walls separating the toilets. All you guys who march DCI, you'll know some of these toilets, we call them shameless shitters because there's no door on them. Like if you're walking by, you can see everybody pooping. But this was the first time I ever been in one where there's just straight up no divider. Like it's just a row of toilets in the middle of the room. So I go in there to take a poop, and there's 4 toilets, I think, and there were 3 people on the 3 all the way to the left, so I went on the very far one to the right. And I sit down, start doing my business, and the 2 guys all the way to the left both finished. So now it's just me and this other guy sitting right next to each other on these 2 toilets. And this is already pretty uncomfortable, so I try to do my business as fast as I can. And then I realize that there is only 1 roll of toilet paper, and it's next to this guy's toilet, and I can't reach it from where I am.
Hey, buddy. Can you pass the toilet paper down there?
Number 4. This one is rough. I'm not gonna recreate this one with a little skit like I've been doing for the other ones, because this one is way too painful physically for me to recreate. I'm fine with recreating the emotional pain I went through, but physical pain, that's next level stuff. I'm not ready for that. This was when I was teaching a drum corps, and the field we were at, so you had the football field here, then there was like a 6-foot tall fence, and then the scaffolding which the captain heads and director were on. So I was up in the scaffolding during this rehearsal, and in the middle of the rehearsal I wanted to go down on the field and give some comments down there instead of up on the scaffolding. But this freaking fence, it went like all the way from one side of the field to the other, so it was a pain in the butt to just walk from the scaffolding to the field. You had to walk all the way around and then you were there. So I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna scale this fence. I'm just gonna climb it. It'll save a lot of time. Climbed up, jumped over, and top of my shorts clipped into the fence, and I gave myself an atomic wedgie. I was actually waiting for people to come and help, but I looked around and saw that nobody was paying attention, which was good, because this was really, really awkward, but also bad, because my balls were being smashed. So I ended up just kind of kicking and flailing for like 10 seconds until my shorts ripped off the fence. And I looked and I had like a big hole like in the top area of my shorts, and looked around again and saw that nobody noticed. But then the director, who was still up in the scaffolding behind me, he calls down off of the box, "Eric Carr, I saw that whole thing." And of course, everybody in the rehearsal, they look over to me like, "Eric, what happened? What'd you do? What'd you do?" And I'm just like, could have been anything. I have no idea. Don't look at my butt. Okay, we're on to the top 3 now. These get extra cringy. But if you made it this far in the video, why don't you go ahead and click that like button? So this was when I was in music school in college. I was in wind ensemble rehearsal, and percussion parts in wind ensemble rehearsal, I think there were 6 of us in the class. Most songs don't have 6 percussion parts, it's usually less than that, so we'll rotate who sits out for each song. So the director, he pulls up a song that this is the one that I don't have a part in. So I'm just chilling in the back, I'm looking at some messages on my phone while this rehearsal's going on, and there's this one professor in this school that is super anal about students being on their phone in his class. Now keep in mind, this was not his class, so I was just chilling, I had nothing to do, so why not? But of course, this professor comes walking by the room, looks in, and sees that I'm sitting in the back on my phone. So he just busts in the room, starts flipping out.
I come in here to see you. Get off on your phone. That's right. We got guys back here get off on their phone.
I do not know why he put it like that, because it sounds like he caught me masturbating in class. Like, I totally wasn't doing that. And the ridiculous part about this was that I was not disrupting anything going on by being back there on my phone. But this guy freaking coming in and screaming and interrupting class, that was very disruptive. And also I had to do a lot of explaining to my classmates that I was just checking some messages. That's it. That's all I swear, that's all I was doing. On to number 2. This one, oh my goodness. This was when I got a job. I was a substitute private lesson teacher at a local music store. I think I was like 19 or 20 at the time. So this kid comes in for his lesson, and he's probably like 10 or 11 years old, in that range. And everything was going fine. We were playing through the little exercises. Everything was great until this kid just rips the smelliest, nastiest SBD that I've ever experienced. Like, dude, this was so bad. I think I threw up in my mouth a little bit. Like, the thing is, like, if you fart that bad, you better own up to it, people. So he's pretending like it didn't happen. I'm pretending like I don't smell it. It's really bad, but we continue on. We push on. This is a lesson, after all. We gotta be educational with this. So a few minutes pass, and I realize that this smell is actually getting worse. And that's when it hits me. This kid crapped his pants. And I do not know how to deal with this situation at all. So we're pushing on. We're like 15 minutes into this like half-hour lesson, and now he's like starting to like show that he's like kind of uncomfortable. He's squirming around in the seat a little bit. So I ask him, I'm like,
Hey, are you okay over there? Yeah, I'm okay. You sure? Yeah, this happens sometimes.
This happens sometimes? You just crap your pants and sit there? That happens sometimes? So now I'm just like, okay, I need to get this kid out of this room. Let me just like fast forward through this whole lesson.
Great. Let's do the next one. Let's go. Yep, perfect. Keep it moving. Let's go. Next one.
So we're going, I'm just rushing him through everything, and then finally, he tells me that he needs to go to the bathroom.
Oh, really? You have to go to the bathroom? Really? Oh, okay, yeah, you better go then.
And I'm like so relieved that he's not in this room anymore, because it was rancid, it stunk. And I'm just thinking, okay, he's probably gonna go to the bathroom and tell his parents that he crapped his pants and they're gonna take him home. And then I never have to see this freaking kid ever again. But nope! We got 5 minutes before the end of the lesson, he comes back in the room, reeking of poop.
Okay, let's just skip to the very last exercise on the page. Okay. Great, perfect, that was wonderful, you're done. Let's get you out of here. Go, get out!
Okay, number 1. I was actually debating if I should even tell this one or not, but, well, here we go anyways. So this was another one where I was teaching a drum corps, and like I said earlier, these housing sites that we pull up to, you never quite know what you're in for. So we finished our rehearsal, and the members all go back into the housing site to, shower and brush their teeth and all that good stuff. But the staff, we decide that we're gonna go to this Applebee's that's down the street. So we're off on our merry way to Applebee's. The members all go into the housing site. There is a very serious problem. The girls' showers are all broken. Every single one of them doesn't work. But they came up with a solution. So the guys would shower in their locker room up to 10 o'clock. Then the guys' locker room would become the girls' locker room from 10 to 11, where all the girls would shower during that time. Great, cool, good plan, wonderful. Problem: nobody decided that it would be a good idea to pass this word along to the staff, who were all at Applebee's. So we get done eating our meal at Applebee's. We come rolling back to the housing site. It is now like 10 minutes after 10, something like that. And of course, I am the first one that decides to go take a shower. So I grab all my stuff. Oh man, I can't do this. I can't do it. Just roll the skid. Roll the skid! Okay, so I might have exaggerated the skip a little bit. I wasn't completely all the way naked when I realized what was going on. The shirt was off, the shorts were in transition, but the underwear, that remained secured. So that's good. But it was still really, really awkward and uncomfortable. Like, oh man, like, ugh. And all those girls in there, they like totally understood what happened, and they honestly thought it was hilarious how I reacted to them all freaking out and how terrified I was. So good job, ladies. Not only did you make me feel super uncomfortable, that was the most awkward situation I've ever been in my life. Good job. Good job. Thanks for watching. If my awkwardness was entertaining to you, make sure you click that subscribe button and ring that Liberty Bell, and also click that like button. And a shout out to my squeaky cock, Andrew Dressler, for helping support this video. You too can support this channel by going to my Patreon account. I'll leave the link in the description. And you can also support me by buying a custom t-shirt such as this one. I'll leave that link in the description also. And we also have the quest for the second hardest glockenspiel feature of 2019 going on. For full instructions on how to enter that, you can check out my hardest glockenspiel of 2019 video. And have a good morning.